In this presentation, I really learned what is differentiating instruction. And I found out that there are many different levels, many different ways to implement that in a classroom. It's really great because it feels like it's completely tailored for different kinds of personalities, ways of learning, and interests of the students. So the first slide is about what is differentiating instruction. Many people are confused about that. They don't really know what that means. But personally, I finally learned what are differences between regular instruction or normal instruction or public instruction rather than differentiating instruction. That's a different approach because I learned that differentiating instruction is really based on research. So a lot of people, a lot of scientists have already researched what it means and how to help each different students as well as have one common goal, which is success. The common goal of differentiating instruction is the success of each student, not based on grades, but based on progress. How much progress is the student making every time? The one thing I learned from this kind of instruction is that students are respected. They have the choice to learn in a way where they understand things or learn in a way that is fun for them. It's really tailored to each student's needs, so that is probably why it's very effective. I really like how it's also very flexible, and it really depends on the teacher, how much the teacher cares about the students, how much teacher wants to put time and effort into explaining something, or even letting them figure it out on their own. Differentiating instruction is something I would love to implement in my own classroom. After reading the things I read, the information pages, and after watching videos, I can really take that instruction and implement it into my own classroom, and I think it will really help everybody. I think that I would also like to work in a building where they do differentiating instruction because then it's more universal and every teacher knows exactly what I'm talking about when we get together. I feel like there's more collaboration and things run smoothly because of all those meetings. This slide explains how teachers differentiate instruction. Well, I liked this slide because it really explained to me what that means. What is my job as a teacher when I do differentiating instruction? I have to actually take each student as an individual. And that was my favorite part. I have to take each student and see what do they care about? What are they interested in? How much do they know about the topic? How much do they want to learn about a topic? And what is the best way for them to learn? Some people are visual. Some people are audio. It really depends on the student. And I like how everything will be tailored on each different student. I also really liked about this slide how self-assessments are really important, how the students actually have a say in how they're doing. They can let me know, let the parents know, and also like how everything is very organized and well done. I also feel like if the teacher really cares about the student will succeed. I think that teacher-student relationship is very important. I also really liked how the three main elements, just content, process, and product, shows what the students know, what they want to know, and what they will know in the future if they put their mind to it. It was a very interesting slide because I learned even more how teachers can have that readiness in those children when they're learning. The next slide is how do teachers prepare their students and their classrooms for differentiated instruction. From that slide, I, again, learned so much. It taught me that communication is so important And I'm a shy person, even though some people think I'm not, but I am pretty shy, so it's harder for me to communicate with people I don't exactly know. That's why it will take effort from my part to get to know the students and the teachers. But I know that in the end, it will help me with the classroom management. It will help me with the relationship between teachers and parents. And it will make me grow as an individual. I also know that this kind of communication will really help for things to run smoothly, for students to learn faster. And that's so important. That's the one thing I really grasped from this slide. I also grasped that organization is so important. Yes, it shouldn't be the only thing that we care about, but organizing the classroom, organizing the way students are learning, organizing the way the classroom is set up is so important. And it has a lot of benefits to it. I really like that point as well. And I took a couple of different things already to mind, like how to organize my floor, or how many rugs I want to put, or how do I want to organize the different desks together. I think it was a very interesting slide for me, and it made me think of my own classroom. What will I do in my own classroom? The next slide is about the same thing, how teachers prepare their students in their classrooms for differentiated instruction. I think the thing I learned the best from this specific page is that I need to be very clear with the students. So how I can implement that is making sure the students know my expectations. Making sure the students understand that if they cross expectation, they're not doing the expectation, they will have some type of consequence. I think it's also very important to talk about when it's acceptable to talk, when it's not acceptable to talk. When I was working at schools, I was working in a classroom where the students would talk constantly. The teacher would turn around, do something on the computer, and the children would just keep talking. And I know for me that I do not want that. I want my children to be respectful, but I want my children to be at level 0 and independent. I want them to know that if nothing's going on, they can get, let's say, a book out or a paper out or something out. So that way, they're not out of control. And when I turn around and try to teach the class, the children are already talking and going crazy around my classroom. I think that's the most important point on that slide, and that's the thing I learned personally whenever I get my own classroom. The next slide is, what does differentiated instruction look like in a classroom? Well, those are some suggestions I found in the website about differentiated instruction. For example, I need to start with one subject area, with one element. I have to begin working with students in small groups. So basically what I really understood from that slide is, whenever it comes to my classroom, I want to do small groups, and I want to do less of me talking in front. I want the students to learn from each other, to learn together, and for me to talk less. I want them to really have that interaction, and for me to just be able to work little group by little group. That way I can put my attention to those who need more help. The next slide is about different common classroom practices in my school. The first part is explain why they are not examples of differentiated practice and describe what your colleagues can do differently. The first one is delivers instruction primarily by lecturing. Again, I would recommend for my own self how I want my own classroom to have fun. I want my kids to have fun. I want my kids to be happy when they come to my classroom. I want my kids to be stimulated. I do not want to be standing in front and talking the whole hour and for them to fall asleep or just look around and not pay attention. I want to keep them engaged. And of course, we all know that the amount of engagement from children is much less now than it was before. The second part is group students at the beginning of the year based on the previous year's achievement test scores. No, I do not want to do that, because every student deserves a second chance, and every student deserves to be tested on what they do know already and what they are willing to learn. I think it's so important for students to have that chance to prove themselves again the year after, to start over. That's what I want to do in my own classroom. I want my kids to be able to prove themselves to me, not judge them based on past grades or past behavior. And the third one says, gives bonus points for classroom participation. No. That will push students to just do things for points. I don't want that. I want students to participate because they have to participate. I want students to work because they have to work. I want students to do all of that because it also comes from them, because they want to. They want to get better. So I think it all starts from motivation. They have to be motivated. I have to somehow find the principal motivation of each student and implement that in an everyday classroom. So what I want to say after looking at all those different slides is differentiating instruction is so precious. It's something that more and more school buildings are doing, and it's something that I want to implement for sure in my own classroom in the future. I think it's so well organized. I think it gives a chance to all the students to learn about what they care about, and that's really what I'm focused on right now. I think building relationships is so important for the whole year to run smoothly. So thank you very much for listening to my Module 3 thoughts on what is differentiating instruction. And I will see you guys later.